Hi, everyone. Welcome to today's session on designing for AI. My name is Maria, and I'm the Reactor Program Manager. I'm based here in Tel Aviv, Israel. For those of you who are new to the Reactor, Reactors are where technology professionals connect and learn. Reactor focus on empowering individuals to dive deeper into personal and professional technical interests. We provide programming for developers who want to advance in desirable high-tech fields such as data and science, AI, and machine learning. Virtual events are running around the clock anytime and anywhere. So go ahead and check out our meetup group to find out more on our upcoming events. Before we start today's session, I wanted to let you know that the session will be recording and it will be available to you within a few days on our YouTube channel. I'm going to share the link with you in the chat box soon. We also encourage you to ask questions during the session, so please feel free to use the Q&A box on the screen, and we are going to take the time to answer your questions at the end of the presentation. Lastly, it's also a great opportunity for you to share your feedback with us. So I'm going to share a link with you at the end of the survey, at the end of the session, and also soon in the chat box with the link to a survey and event ID code. If you can take a minute or two to complete the survey and share your feedback, we really appreciate it. I'm going to pass it over to Omri now to kick off today's session. So Omri, over to you.
Okay. Hopefully everyone can hear me and see me. So hey everyone, I'm gonna get started. So I'm Omri. I'm a senior design lead here at Microsoft, and more specifically at the Cortana team. I manage the Cortana design team here in Israel. And if for those of you who don't know Cortana is Microsoft's AI assistant, very similar to Siri or Alexa or any one of those, Google Assistant. And I'm gonna start quickly with a very short story, something that happened to me during Corona, which we're all experiencing. So if anyone's joining not from Israel, we just came out of the second lockdown, and coming out of lockdown, at least I was kind of thinking that it might be time for me to use that time in a way that is more efficient and just smarter. I don't know why suddenly my newsfeed started to kind of being bombarded by these stories about how people read more, and people and like smart people read and successful people read, and for anyone who's into business, like Mark Zuckerberg and Bill Gates and Satya Nadella. So there are a lot of really successful people who are known to be avid readers, and they would destroy a book in like 3 hours. I see myself as at least in that caliber. So I decided that I'm gonna use this lockdown to do some self-improvement, right? So I've kind of made a deal with myself. So every night before, like right after I put my kids down to sleep, I'm just gonna, rather than grab the Xbox remote and kind of waste a few hours away, I'm gonna start reading. I'm gonna grab a book, and I'm gonna be one of those people who sit and read. And that's what I did. So I dusted off my Kindle, got Kindle that's kind of sitting at home doing nothing most of the time. And I bought the book. This is a book that I really recommend. It's called Grit by Angela Duckworth. Ironically, and it's going to be ironic in about 2 slides, that talks about the value and the virtue of perseverance and kind of fighting against rough spots in your life and really persevering with a certain decision, right? So you can kind of see where I'm going with this. So I've got everything set up. Day 1, day 2, I'm doing really well, and you can guess within a week I was right back to my Xbox doing the same thing, kind of collapsing on the sofa, not able to kind of create this new habit. And being a designer, definitely being into UX, I was trying to understand with myself what was the problem. Why couldn't I have changed my own behavior? And I kind of realized that the problem wasn't me. The problem was the book, right? Because I'm just a human. That's all I can do. But the book didn't help me create a new habit, because really, a book it's not better than Xbox. It doesn't make me want to use it. and it doesn't make me want to change my behavior. So really, the technology in books is broken. So I'm not going to fix that, right? But it's this whole experience, and obviously I'm joking a little bit, but it kind of made me think that we have a lot of ways, definitely as designers and as people creating technology, we have ways to make people press buttons, right? We can throw notifications at them, we can throw different pop-ups, emails, all kind of flashing experiences, and we can kind of move them from one experience to the other and make them do what we want. But none of that creates any kind of internal motivation within them to do these things. Like once you start sending them notifications, like what then? People just start using your and I got into this realization that what we should be building and focusing on is habits rather than products, because that's the thing that will make people become your your product's best friend. That's this internal motivation is so much stronger than any kind of external motivation, and this is what we should be aiming for. And this is what I'm going to talk to you about in the next 15-20 minutes. And let's start with why. Like why are habits so important? I know we kind of hear that word every now and then, but let's demystify it a little bit. Like why do we think it's such a technical when it comes to product building? Well, in Cortana, we use a lot of AI. Again, another term that we need to understand. And just this year, we released a few really cool features. So anyone who's using Windows, maybe you got the new Cortana app on Windows that can help you use natural language and obviously voice to complete all kind of tasks, as well as the Play My Emails feature on Outlook Mobile. So we basically take your inbox and turn it into this interactive podcast. So you can play those emails, listen to them, and reply with your voice or flag them. So all of those, and these are just two of some of the work that we've been doing, and obviously all of those are kind of leaning on AI. But the question is, what is AI? It's one of those words that we've been saying so long, and it's no meaning, right? Because everyone has a different view of it, and I can give you mine, the way I look at AI and the way I use AI. So for me, if I wanna take an experience and kind of and put it under the AI bucket, it has to hit three tests. It needs to pass three tests. So one, it has to be personalized, right? So it needs to be the way I experience this feature or this product needs to be a little bit different than what anyone else is experiencing. It needs to understand natural language. Again, this is very specific to Cortana and the world of digital assistants. But I need to be able to communicate with this experience in something that's not, button related or click related, all of those like turning lights on and off, right? So if I want to communicate with AI, I should be able to use my language. I should be able to convey complicated ideas, and the AI should understand me if it's good. And the last one, it needs to improve over time. And I want to focus on that one because the way I define it is that when I use it for the first time and when I use it for the thousandth time, it needs to be completely different, right? Because otherwise it means that the machine hasn't learned anything. Okay, so through that time, the experience should be more personalized, smarter, and just generally better experience. Now there is a big ask, time, because as I said, we can get people into a product. We can do Facebook ads, whatever, Instagram ads, give people money. We can get people into an experience, but then getting them to use it over and over and over, that's where the problem starts. This is where the challenge starts, and this is why habits are so important. Because the way AI works is people put in the time for the AI to become smarter, and as the AI becomes smarter, the people want to put more time into it. And you've got this cycle that slowly makes the experience better and better. But all of that is reliant on people spending time with our product. And for that, to empower that experience, we need habits. We need to have this internal motivation within people to actually go and use the product. So how do we do it, right? So we kind of framed the problem, but it wouldn't be much of a webinar if we didn't give you the answers. So how do we create habits? Well, there are different ways, and a lot of them take time, right? So when you wake up and you brush your teeth, this is not something that you do actively. It's not, you don't have a reminder on your phone saying you go and brush your teeth. It's just a habit. You've been doing it for so many years, and probably your mom yelled at you to go and brush your teeth in the morning so many times that it's just second nature. You don't even think about it. And it's the same with the coffee that you get in the morning, your route to work. Like I can't tell you how many times I go in the car to drive to see a friend, and I ended up in the office just because when my brain is turned off, I'm just going on automatic, and I go straight to the route that I know. And all of these habits are kind of formed over time. Now, for us building products, we can't really have people's moms yelling at them, telling them to use our app, but it is solvable because people have done it. So if you think about some of the apps and experiences and companies that have become part of your habits, part of your everyday life, they've done using Netflix, using Facebook, ordering stuff on Amazon if you're not in Israel, then those are pretty much on the same level as brushing your teeth and putting your pencil in the morning, because it becomes like such part of your day. And from the way I kind of analyze it, all of those experiences are doing the same thing. They're doing three key things to get us to do that, and that's the whole secret. I'm gonna tell you the secret. It's not. I'm gonna keep it right. So there's three steps to create digital habits, and here they are. Okay, number one, we identify existing habit, right? So we find something that people already are doing. Okay, creating habits is hard, but identifying it is a little bit easier. Then we build a product to facilitate it, right? So we see what people are already doing, and we kind of put that content into a very specialized product. And then we make sure that whatever we build is 10 times better than an alternative, okay? In order for someone to change their habits and create a new one, this new habit has to be so much better than what they've been doing that they're just going to have to change their behavior. And just as this style of when I say 10 times better, this is not just a number, right? It's not. I'm not just exaggerating for fun. This is something that is measured. We are measuring and making sure that the experiences that we make are 10 times better. And there are many different ways to measure AI. So just to get you in the right frame of mind, right? Let's take Netflix. So I assume a lot of you are using Netflix or something similar, and think about the idea of binge watching, right? Binging. It's not something that Netflix created. They didn't invent it, but they definitely perfected it. So if you look at the kind of like the life cycle of binging, so before we had Netflix, people still binged shows, but it was just a manual effort, right? So they had to not watch a show for many weeks, kind of record it or I don't know, buy a DVD, make sure no one is spoiling it to them, not talking to anyone, but hands on your ears as you talk to your friends. And then by the end of that season, you can lock yourself in the house and watch the whole thing. And then Netflix, what they did, they identified this behavior, and now they can actually facilitate it. So now you can watch a whole season in one sitting because Netflix allow you to. And when they wanted to take it to the 10x level, now they're releasing the whole season as one chunk. So no one can even spoil it for you, because as soon as something is out, you can just sit and watch the whole thing, right? So again, identifying a behavior, and then building something to facilitate it, and then making it a lot better than anything else that comes in the market. So again, 3 steps how to do it. Now that we can frame what are those things that we do and how we do it, let me show you some interesting ways that we actually use it, right? Those 3 steps to create habits around Cortana. So this is the first example. Some of you may be getting it if you're on M365 on the enterprise version, and this is called briefing email. Created by Nir, one of the designers on my team, and Khaled, the PM. And basically, what briefing email does is it helps you stay on top of your tasks and make sure none of your tasks fall between the cracks. Right? Let's dig into it. I'm gonna explain more. So here's the framing, right? So when people communicate with each other, either digitally or when you speak, some of it is kind of held as entities, right? So imagine I'm sending someone a file, like a PowerPoint file. That is an entity. This is a very specific type of that can be indexed and can be held as a very specific thing, right? Another thing is a meeting. If I send you a meeting invite, this is a very, very specific entity as part of our communication. But this is just a very small part of communication, right? So a lot of the way we communicate is not really indexed in any way. It's not an entity. So if I ask someone to, hey, can you send me this file? This might be a task, but it's not an entity. It's not held in any way. If I say, how was the movie last night? Or if I give you a suggestion like you should buy that thing on Amazon, right? All of these pieces of information are just free text, and it's not indexed in any way. So there's very little you can do with it after the fact, because it's just a stream of text. So what we want to do is actually start to analyze that text, analyze some of that conversation, and put those in entities. And the first entity, which we found to be really, really important, is tasks. So, for example, if Michal here is sending me this communication, it could be email, it could be text, it doesn't matter for this. We can identify that within this communication, there's an entity, which is a task, right? So can you send me the deck when it's ready? We know that it's a task based on AI and machine learning algorithms. And what we do is we take that free text, and now it's held within an entity that is indexed, and it can be referenced. There's an owner. We can put timeline on it, and this is now an intelligent piece of information that we can extract. Right now, it's important to say that this is a very optimistic example, right? Because when we talk about AI, it's not that deterministic, and it's always going to screw up at some points, just because of the nature of it. So, for example, something like this, let me know if you have any questions. It is structured like a task, because, Shira is asking me to do something, and that thing is let me know, but it's not really a task. It's not something that I can follow up on next week. It's kind of like self-contained within that communication. Please ignore my previous email, right? So this is like a task that I complete as soon as I read it. It's like ignoring is not something that I need to follow up on, but we might recognize it as a task. So there are complications that we're trying to fix. It's ridiculous, but we're slowly improving our algorithm, but that's just the nature of working with AI. By the way, this is an action that we got, and we asked permission to show it. But this is a real extraction that we found within someone's email. So now that we have this capability, now the question is, what do we do with it, right? So if we can take a piece of communication and extract it and turn it into a task, then now we need to know where we can surface it, because Microsoft is such a huge world, it's such a huge universe that it can get overwhelming, and we have to start somewhere. And we've thought about all the regular, like I'm sure you can start thinking about all kinds of options as well. You got your to-dos list, maybe within Microsoft Teams, which people work, all kind of funky Microsoft hardware options that we build. And when we kind of looked at the whole Microsoft universe, we ended up choosing something that might not be very apparent or very intuitive, but we thought was the best idea. And there was email. Now I know email might not sound like the first candidate for anything AI-based. It's definitely not exciting. A technology that hasn't changed that much in the last 30 or 40 years. But if you really start to dig into the numbers, email is actually a really exciting service, right? So think about that. People are checking their emails 70 times a day, right? So that's It is something that very few other services get. It's like all this attention. If you want to convert it into actual time, like now you can see that nearly a third of people's workday is spent within email, and this is such a huge engagement area that we found that to be an amazing opportunity. Um, and especially if you think about the actual behavior, because people check their emails first thing in the morning, right? So this is the time where you have people to help them plan for their days. And again, existing behavior, and this is something that we want to recognize, we want to harness. So what we ended up building is this AI algorithm that every day scans your entire inbox, every single email, and highlights tasks. Some of it is commitments, requests, basically things that I ask someone else to do or things that they ask me to do. So we kind of extract all those highlights, all those insights, and we take everything and put it in a different email that arrives at your inbox first thing in the morning, right with your morning coffee. And this is such a great experience to have all your tasks that you didn't even know or didn't notice kind of get right into your email, very well formatted. So let's see how that works. I'm going to show you one example, right? Um, so here's an email from that Michal wrote to Ivan, and she's being very polite, saying thank you for your feedback. I'm not sure that she was very happy for the feedback, but she's being polite in the email. And once we scan that email and we start to extract those tasks, then we can see that we find a few. In this case, we found 4 tasks, but as we run it through our algorithms, through our machine learning algorithms, we can start screening those and just get high value ones. Because again, we don't want to give people a bad experience, so we only give high value options, and we extract those, and we can see who's the owner of which. So now we know who needs to actually complete those based on the text. And then when you get the briefing email in the next morning, that free text suddenly turn into something that is very actionable, and very high value, right? So we know who's the person who talked, who said it, what the task is, and we can actually take action within the email. And what we found out is that not only we created something that is AI based and creates habits, but oh, sorry, just important to say that this is one of the big things about AI is always it has to be feedback and it has to be around us improving our algorithms. So all those actions and all those buttons are allowing us to know where we screwed up and where we did a good job, right? So if someone clicks the trash can and they don't like this suggestion, now we know that we did something wrong and we can improve on it. But if people add those options to their to-do list, we know that we've done a good job, and then we slowly improve it. So again, over time, we improve and improve that experience, the more people use it. And as I said, like we kind of did what like almost the impossible. We created an email that people like getting. People really enjoy getting those. And we've been getting really, really great feedback. So yeah, good like creating a system, a system sent email that people really enjoy. So we're really happy to see that. And we created an email that builds an AI habit, right? So this is a habit that is building on an AI experience that people really enjoy and really starting to build into their days. So we know that people wake up first thing in the morning and the first email that they want to open is the email from Cortana because it gives them all that value. So this has been a really, really good experience and a big win for us. And again, we identify an existing habit. People are waking up in the morning, triaging the emails. So we found that. We built a product to facilitate it. And then we made it 10 times better than the alternative because imagine having to wake up in the morning and going over every single email that you got the last day. That's a terrible experience. Now we kind of streamlining the whole thing using AI. So again, going through these 3 steps. I'm going to show you one more example. I'm going to do it quickly. So I don't think the audio is actually working. Maybe you hear it, or maybe not, but I'm going to say in the background. So this is an experience that we built where we combine Cortana within Microsoft Teams allowing you to use voice control and voice commands within Microsoft Teams, right? I'm going to skip forward. So this was a project that I led the design, and it was dozens and dozens of people working on it, from engineers to PMs to voice designers to interaction designers to prototypers. So it was a huge team. My face is bigger just because I'm talking here. If anyone else would be here, their face would be the big one. But it was a huge team effort and a really big undertaking. But yeah, let me frame this a little bit. So when Microsoft Teams, which is at the moment the biggest enterprise communication tool in the world, way past Slack and other kind of competitors. So when we started working together and looking at a way to bring voice experiences into that platform, we were very excited. We were looking forward to do it because we want to be on this rocket ship. But we were trying to decide what do we actually want to build here, right? Because just voice is such that you can kind of do anything, right? And we're trying to figure out how we're going to beat our competitors. And when I say competitors, you might think, okay, voice activation, AI assistants. Surely you're trying to beat Google Assistant and Siri and Alexa, but none of those are really our competitors, because we have a different competitor that we are trying to beat. And those are keyboard and mouse. Or in other words, the existing habits, right? Because when someone is using Teams, they're not going to jump into Siri. This is not the assistant they're going to use. What we're trying to do is change the way people are using Teams and changing the model of working. And what we are trying to fight against is the way people act now, the current habits. Because it's people automatically go to the keyboard, they go to the mouse, they go to the touch. So yeah, our mission was to beat that. Now, we knew we didn't want to voicify, and by voicify, that's one way of saying just turning everything into voice. Like imagine those old like Star Trek shows where you just talk to the computer, like computer, turn the spaceship 4 degrees left. Like this is a terrible voice experience. So we didn't want to do any of that. We wanted to build something that people actually need and actually want to use. And when we started to digging into that, we kind of realized that in today's world, and this is an old deck, that the world is a bit different from that. But in the old world, at least, people were working everywhere. They weren't just working in one place, and they were working on the go. They were walking. They were driving and working. I have kids crawling over me while I work, so your hands are not always available. So we kind of found that to be a really big opportunity to bring voice and to bring another model of interaction. And we really wanted to lean on the voice assistant superpowers. So these are the things that voice can do better than anything else. And I'm not going to go deep into that, but generally there are 4 superpowers that we like to say. So traversals, the ability to kind of jump between hierarchies without going through a bunch of different menus or long flows. Transform, which is the ability to kind of change everything that I look at. So whatever I look at, we call it the infinite right click, because I can do a million different actions on anything that I look at on the screen. Capture, the ability to record my thoughts, regardless of what's active at the moment. And guide. So using voice, we can really guide people through very complicated flows. And the mechanism that connects all of those together are these. So in any voice command that you give, and this might make sense with the voice commands that you use on your phone, whether it being Google or Siri or whatever, there are 3 parts which are really powerful. So the first one is invocation. This is the way you call and wake up the microphone. Second one is intent. What is the thing that we want to do? And the third one is data. So what are the new variables that you're going to bring into this command? Let me explain. So for example, hey Cortana, call Jane Smith, right? So we have invocation, hey Cortana. This is what wakes Cortana up. Intent, call. This is the action that I want Cortana to do. And then the data, I want Cortana to call Jane Smith. Now it looks pretty simple framework. It doesn't seem very flexible, but actually you can do amazing things with it. So look at that. Hey, Cortana, join my 11 a.m. meeting, right? So this is a little less specific because I might not know the name of my meeting, and I think most people don't remember the name, but I can say my 11 o'clock meeting, and Cortana can do that little bit of AI and help me get there quicker. So, you know, for example, just using these this very simple structure, we can do very powerful actions. So as I said, hey, Cortana, call Jane. We have the three parts, and Cortana can actually on the phone without using my hands, I can make calls. But let's look at something like this. So hey, Cortana, join my next meeting. Again, it's structured in the same way, but now we're bringing some AI into it. So my next meeting is very ambiguous, and Cortana can help me do it. And there are many, look, if we talk about design, there are many really hard questions you want to answer here. So if I ask Cortana to join my next meeting, and my next meeting is in 10 hours, what do we do then? If I have overlapping meetings, what do we do then? So there are a lot of decisions that we need to do in the background. But for the user, this can be very, very magical. And look at this example, right? So, hey, Cortana, let my next meeting know I'm running late. So invocation, the intent, let someone know. But look at all this data that we're loading into it. So we need to figure out what my next meeting is. I'm running late. Okay, that's a bit of text. I need to turn it into a message. So we can do really powerful things just using our voice. And again, this is a perfect scenario because I'm on the run, I'm on the move, and I need to send out that message really quickly. Now, again, AI, it's not perfect. So if I say Cortana, call Jane, if I have a bunch of Janes on my phone, as we do in big corporations, now we need to help the user kind of disambiguate and know who that person is. So that experience might not be perfect, but with time we can improve it. And mistakes happen, right? Sometimes we just don't understand the right name, and that can cause really awkward situations, especially in the workplace. So there are different solutions to that. Like, for example, saying the wrong name. If we're not sure that we heard the right name, or for example, it's someone that we don't usually talk, like in this example, then we do give the user a chance to change their mind, which is really helpful when we're not sure on the AI side. But again, if you're going back to that structure, so we use exactly the same structure. So we identified that people are using their phone and trying to work in different situations where their hands are not free. Driving, kids, cooking. You can think of a million different others. We built a product to facilitate it. So now, rather than using your hands, you can use your voice. And we made sure that the scenarios that we choose are going to be 10 times better than anything that competes with that, right? So if you're driving and you need to send a message, your voice is going to be 10 times better than trying to type while driving. The same with walking or any other option. So again, if I can send you home with one thing, is try to follow these three steps when building habits, and especially habits building around AI. So identify a behavior, try to facilitate it with a product or a service, and then make it a whole than any of the competitors. And that's it. And if you have any questions, you know, ask at the end, or you can email me. So thanks a lot.
Thank you, Omri. We are going to continue now with Anna's presentation. So Anna, please feel free to share your screen, and we can continue with your part.
Sure. So thanks, Omri. Can you hear me, by the way?
Yes, we can hear you, but we can't see your screen.
Yes, now I'm on it. So
yes, that works.
Amazing. So first of all, thank you, Omri, again, and thank you, Maria, and thank you, everyone, for joining today. So before even diving in and introducing myself, I'd like to start with a bit of an icebreaker. I love pasta. And in order for me to prepare good pasta at home, I always find myself in need of a good tomato sauce. I go to the supermarket and I face an endless aisle of tremendous choice in front of me, of a lot of brands, types, of tomato sauce with different nuances, chunks, whole tomatoes, maybe without chunks, extra sugar, no sugar, etc. And I find myself unnecessarily staring at the aisle and just like mind blown into trying to understand what exactly the tomato sauce that I should pick and will best serve my delicious pasta I'm going to make at home. I have no idea if you also encounter these problems, but if so, I'd like to maybe give you a bit of a glimpse in this upcoming 20 minutes of how working and designing and thinking about experiences and design on Microsoft products kind of gives me a lot of tools and insights as to also making decisions such as these easy. So hello everyone, my name is Anna. I'm leading in Microsoft product line called Power BI Mobile. A good question, what is Power BI Mobile, or even what is Power BI and BI in general, you ask yourself? Let's answer that. So BI is an acronym. It's an acronym that means business intelligence. Business intelligence is a concept, is a word that describes an entire world of enterprises and companies that use their data, their business data, they accumulate every day in order to make decisions that serve them best strategically wise and operational wise. They use platforms to infuse their data into these platforms and kind of convey them into actionable insights. Many times, the BI, the business intelligence concept and term also refers to a set of tools that visualize data. And Power BI and also Power BI Mobile as an extension are products that refer to that type of role. And this is also a product that visualizes data for business enterprises. If we take a few examples from real life reports, here we see an example of a Power BI report that visualize in the web a report of a skateboard store. The skateboard store in this report kind of deals with returns of certain skateboards, and the owner of the store or the business can tell according to regions and locations where are the returns are bigger and where they are smaller. Maybe upon this information, the owner can take decisions as to what type and what breakdown of skateboards he should or shouldn't order more or less in that store in order to avoid these types of returns and lose money. We also see examples of BI in the seller world, in the marketing world, right? How, for example, companies like Amazon can track over time their sales rate and maybe investigate more why in a certain month the sales were low according to other pivots of data. And the usage is vast and the pivots are varied because BI and data is a world that provides us many, many insights, also into maybe social medias, post overviews, and marketerial, tracking of certain platforms like Twitter, HBO, Netflix, etc. We saw a lot of BI reports, and they're very well organized and very beautiful, know how to organize our data in a way that can provide us insights. However, with all of that saying, the BI world, the data visualization world, is still a world that provides on a day-to-day basis a visualization overload to the business intelligent user. Think of the user and the fact that he or she needs to work every day looking at a lot of pieces of data, a lot of pieces of charts and diagrams, and to analyze them all together, because a report is also a set that contains not only one chunk of visualization, and it's starting to accumulate as a great a great overload to the vision and to the mind to consume. If we take into consideration the type of the BI user, surprisingly, it's not only the persona that sits comfortably in the desk and stares at a laptop or maybe a desktop computer. The business user is someone who is also on the go. It can be someone who works on an assembly line and takes the mobile device in order to check specific data about a certain part, maybe short and order it. It can be a manager in site that goes between teams and needs to understand data quickly on the go while talking to people. And it can be also the CEO, the business CEO that always meets people and makes decisions, on the go. And the visualization overload doesn't help this type of user that needs to also kind of make decision and simultaneously talk, work, and do other things. So if we take into consideration these two types of scenarios that we face in the BI world, we understand that maybe the standard phrase of a picture is worth 1,000 words doesn't depict our world in terms of the data visualization product anymore. And an additional need in maybe some kind of a tool or additional layer that will focus the user and provide more insight as to what exactly the areas that I should focus here in these reports is needed. Because on a first glimpse, I will not get that insight and I need help. Questions come in mind when designing and thinking about these issues or any new features when designing for products such as Power BI. What should I do? Maybe I should add an additional visual layer, right? But I already have so much data visualization already. This is my product. Maybe I should be more precise and speak actual verbal explanation on top of everything that I already have, because words are very explanatory. Or should I just think of the entire thing as very complex and maybe I need to simplify the experience altogether? Now, these questions or maybe thoughts follow me every time I think about experience and design anything new within the product. Luckily, today, we have a lot of tools that can assist while working and thinking about experience of users in our products. One of those tools is the AI. AI is a gift developers gave to us, right? Kind of an extended engine brain that knows how to not only output and deliver the results that we want in the code, but think and learn on their own and maybe provide insights that can help me as a designer solve and facilitate also an experience and insight and understanding and level of complexity. I'd like to walk you through how one of the features I worked with in Power BI used an AI engine in order to explain all of these things. Now, in order to do that, let's first of all understand how data visualization works in Power BI and in general. So we have, in order to build data visualization, first of all, someone needs to come and take data pieces, which are called data sets, and upload them to the data platform. Now, data sets are chunks of information that are grouped by certain parameters, such as, for example, one data can be geographical information, and the other data can be only measurements or ages of people. This is very between the type of data visualization and the information I want to build. On top of the data sets, I can, after uploading them, build the data visualization that I want and pivot it and analyze it over time and create insights. Now, this is how data visualization works. We take the AI engine on top of it, and we kind of feed the AI engine with the already known data, how it runs and behaves over time. The AI engine learns the data and with times also knows to give us insights of what it learned. These insights can serve us later in maybe providing the users better focus. So if this is very general, if we try to put it in a real context of a real product. Let's just say we take, for example, a data visualization of listing count by date. I want to follow the listings in a certain area with time on the trend chart. So the data sets that my developers in my organization uploaded to this type of data are, for example, the different property types, the different neighborhoods, meaning locations of the property, right? It can be also the dates over time, and of course property sizes, etc., etc. And all of this together created the full entire view of the property count over time. Now, what the AI engine can do for us is take this data that it already knows and learn it, and also understand over time what should be the norm range of that specific data. Meaning, if the AI engine knows that over time, most of the pivots of the data are within that realm of numbers, and this is the norm for this type of data sets, they also know how to output it to the user. And if, for example, certain values or certain dates or certain data points go outside beyond the range, the AI engine knows how to give me those anomalies. What I also can do is add verbal explanations. The AI engine knows how to process the data and use verbal speech generators in order to tell me what do I actually see here. Now, this is not a rocket science. You can see that this sentence is very logical and I understand for it, but it's also built upon real data that I take from the data itself. For instance, on March 19th, the value of my listing count was 28.6K. This is something I know. I also know that my norm range in between 31 and 38 because the engine learned it and knew how to output it for me. Understanding such as whether this type of value is below or above, low or high, is something that we can calculate according whether this specific data point is above or below the range. And giving more reference to the insight is also taking it from the entire data visualization parameters, which is the name of the parameter and the specific date that I'm looking for. And this together creates kind of an insight that not only provides me visualization of what should I maybe pay attention to, but also kind of a textual, more human approach, like of understanding and explaining what I'm actually seeing. Additional insights that an AI can give us is actually pinpointing exactly what are the specific data points that contributed to this this going outside of the norm, this anomaly. So, for example, I can create a specific card that takes only one type of data set, which is, for example, the property type, and say that on this specific point within time in March 19, the reason that my listing was anomalized and was below the range is because the property type was not consistent with the range norm, and provide an additional insight with the verbal generator. And this is something together as an experience makes the users, first of all, pay attention more to specifically what data points they should notice within an entire report or maybe entire data visualization map, and also provide them a much quicker understanding of why they're seeing this and maybe better tools of how they should act upon later and maybe ask different questions and pivot the data. Now, this was a reference in real time, and when trying to take this understanding and this process into a real product, we kind of, took the data visualization within the product. Here, for example, you see the mobile device, and try to take whatever the AI engine can give us and kind of visualize it within the product as an additional information. Here you see the architecture and how we got here. And here you can see on the right, the real mock-up of the feature itself that also will be pushed into the product. So Great, and next. So when facing questions like whether I should put an additional layer of visualization, the answer for me, at least from understanding how the feature works and facilitating with the AI engine, was that if the additional layer contributes to understanding, this should enrich the experience, and definitely I should not be afraid to use it in a very data-rich environment. Verbal facilitation descriptions contributed to user understanding and actually made the whole experience much more understandable. And the ultimate question, whether after it all, the level of complexity was actually, even higher in terms of the experience that are provided, well, that's a very philosophical question that I must say that all of us should answer when dealing with features, products, and design thinking, every step of the way. I think that complexity is the range of complexity as that you want it to be. If you decide, that even the most condensed and filled with layered content can be better understand with proper hierarchy and understanding and thinking of a great user flow and a cortex user flow, and this is how we also applied it here. This feature also conveyed to different layouts, for example, the landscape of the mobile device, and you see that the experience kind of followed the same flow, and also in tablets, which are also like an experience for the BI users that they're portable, you can take them around. So if I think about where we started, which is in the pasta aisle of the supermarket, I can tell you easily that by applying the same design thinking, methods, and although in product we have AI tools, but we can also apply them in physical environments and facilitate our users in the supermarket make better decisions. For example, if the aisle could have a better color sorting, the color could facilitate me in the types of different tomato sauces, right? Maybe the green aisle is only with chunks and the purple aisle is only with full tomatoes. I can also make the level of complexity tighter and put kind of verbal flags and put even between the types of shelves, subset of categories and tell the users what they are. And I will tell you for sure that the level of complexity here, although it kind of enriches the aisle with more information, but for me personally, that would help a lot while I go to my pasta and want to pick, the exact thing that I want to buy, and it will save me a lot of time returning home later on. So that's what I learned, and I hope that you learned it as well from example. Thank you so much. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate to ask.
Thank you so much, Anna. Thank you. It was a great session and a great presentation, and I hope everyone found this very insightful and they managed to learn something new today. I don't see that we have any questions at the moment. There are some that I answered, but if you want, we can take a minute or two to wait to see if we have any questions from the audience before we end this session.
Sure. I can also say that if you have any questions later on, feel free to mail Omri and myself. These are our contacts. So please.
Great. I'm going to also share the link to the survey and remind you all that the session is being recorded, and the recording will be available on the Reactor YouTube channel, probably within 2-3 days. Yes, and I think we can end the session a few minutes early. Thank you everyone for joining us today. If you have any questions, don't feel free to contact Omri, Anna, or myself for any upcoming events. We hope you enjoy today and see you at the next event.